Hey YouTube, how's it going today, buddy?
So this is my first tutorial ever on anything. I figured it'd be a really good way to kind of share the things that I know with people, and I think someone out there hopefully will find use of the things that I'm going to explain. So this first upload, I'm gonna go over my 3 crucial Lightroom tips. These are 3 things that every Lightroom editor should know, and I think it's gonna help improve your editing game and bring your edits to the next level. But before I get into that, I just want to say thank you guys so much for those who have subscribed. I'm hoping to have an upload once a week or once every 2 weeks. If you don't know who I am, my name is Ryan. I have an Instagram that you can check out right here. I've been posting on Instagram for the last 4 or 5 years, just doing kind of landscape, outdoor adventure type shots. And also too, just to make things interesting, I'm gonna give away a preset pack to 1 subscriber today. All you have to do is leave a comment below, let me know what camera setup you're using and what type of device, whether it's an iPhone, Samsung, Sony, Canon, doesn't matter. And without further ado, let's hop into the video. Okay, so my first tip is use your camera profiles that you have. In the back of your camera in the settings, there's usually a section that gives you a picture style and you can choose neutral, landscape, portrait, faithful. That's my favorite one by Canon. So those picture styles don't actually apply to the photos when you import them into Lightroom, and you have to reselect them once you're in Lightroom. Now you might be asking, why would I even care about reselecting it? Can't I just edit it to look like that? Not really. Basically, those base colors have different set contrast levels and saturations for different hues, and it's almost nearly impossible to replicate it using HSL and white balance. So if you want your photo to have a certain look to it, you pretty much have to make sure you have the right camera profile on it first, and then you start editing. So to access that, right over here where it says profile, it almost always says Adobe Color, but we don't want Adobe Color. It's not the one we want. So you gotta click this right here. It says Show Profile Browser. Tap that. And then these are all of the Adobe camera profiles. You can try these and see if you like them, but notice how it drastically changes the image. Very, very, very different. My favorite is Faithful. The reason why I like Faithful is because it adds a warmer tone. It gives you slightly more reddish oranges. It has a nice lifted contrast with nice shadows and a good fade in your blacks. It just has a nice polish to the photo that you cannot get on other cameras, which is why I don't really like to shoot on Sony or Nikon. I just prefer Canon. Oh, and I also like Olympus too. So right here, as you can see, boom. I mean, I think that looks way better with Faithful personally. Like, look at the grass right here in Adobe Color right now. I re-click Faithful. The grass just contrasts so much better with the flowers in there, and that's literally just 1 click. What you can do is you can kind of just go through a bunch of these and just sort of test out and see which one you like the most. It's not the same as a preset, but kind of think of it as a preset, a pre-preset. If that makes any sense. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but that's exactly how you use it. If your camera or your device, like a lot of drones, don't really have camera profiles that come default with them, you can use, of course, the Adobe ones that were already up here, or you can scroll down and there are more that you can choose from. So I would just go through, experiment, and kind of see where your base color is at, and then you can build your whole edit off of that because you have a much better foundation. Okay guys, so this is tip number 2. This is using auto mask. So when you're masking things using the brush tool, you actually want to try and use auto mask on solid lines because it's going to cleanly differentiate your 2 surfaces. Think of it as like it's automatically detecting where the edge of the mountain is, and it's only selecting the sky because of the hard line that the mountain creates of the outline when it meets the sky, right? Just like in this image that's right here. So if I don't have auto mask on, which the button for that is right down here, in your brush settings, if I don't have that on and I just start brushing, hit O to see what I'm actually doing, you'll notice that it doesn't like stop anywhere. It just goes everywhere that I'm hovering over. But we don't really want that. We want it to only be the sky. So I'm gonna erase all this. Okay. Now what you do is you select auto mask. It's right here under your brush. Now watch what happens when I get a little bit closer. Look, it's only painting in the sky, more or less. But yeah, see how it's like avoiding trying to paint the mountain because it detects the line that the mountain creates when it, it's against the sky. Look at that. And then now if I want to go in and clean it up, it's so much easier. Here, yeah, I can do that and just paint it again. And look, that's gonna be, there's an even faster way, but this is like basics 101. This is something you gotta know. You can use auto mask on erasing and painting. So if you look right here, I'm just erasing away using auto mask. It detects the lines the other way. You have to be careful though, because sometimes if you're too close, it will still spill over anyways. And then if you use certain settings on like the sky, it'll create really harsh lines like right there. And then if you wanted to get rid of that line, you'd literally have to go into Photoshop and get rid of it or something. It's just not really worth it. But if you're painting stuff, large surfaces, skies, cars, things like that, use auto mask. Okay guys, so this is my last Lightroom tip. It's gonna be about camera calibration. It's the calibration box here at the very bottom of Lightroom. If you scroll all the way down on the right side, there's shadows, red primary, green primary, blue primary. I'm not gonna get into the scientific, technical, color theory way of explaining what these knobs are actually doing, but I'm gonna instead explain it to you in a way where it's gonna be useful to you and you're gonna be able to apply it right away. So what it essentially is doing is creating more opposing colors in your images, so that way there's better color contrast, meaning certain colors pop better against one another, and the photos are technically more pleasing to the eye because of the way that the colors are opposing. So right here in this image, for example, the blue and the orange look all right. Like obviously the lighting's really good on the mountain and the lighting's good on the clouds, you know, the alpenglow, and it's nice neutral light in the trees and the soft light in the car. That's all great, but the blue and the shadows and then the orange hitting everything else just don't really do it for me. I think they could be a little bit better. So what we can do is right here in this blue primary, if I just like, you know, go a little bit to the left here, as you can see, it just completely changed the tone of the blue. And in my opinion, it just made the blue look better against the orange. Now the orange is a little more reddish. So like I said, they're more opposing, and because they're slightly more opposing, they just pop way better against each other. You can really differentiate the two apart. If I wanted to add a green primary, you know, just add in, you know, a little bit there, and it will further accentuate that split of the two colors that I'm trying to do. Now, in some photos, you might have like really green shadows or really pink shadows, depending on if you're shooting in low light, if you're shooting in a forest. That's what the shadows part is for. You're pretty much gonna use that to fill in the tones that are kind of out of place or look a little wacky. So here, I'd probably go a little bit like that. In the shadows, probably add a little bit of pink. I did like +7, but you can do whatever you think looks best. And already I kind of like the tone better in the trees than they were before. Let's maybe try like +5. Yeah, because now you get the soft light that's coming out and hitting the trees is hitting it much better than it was before. So what you want to do is kind of experiment with these and sort of play around with what color combinations look best. Preferably, I like my blue hues to the left, I like my green hues to the right, and my red primary hues kind of, you know, all over the place depending on how red or orange the photo is and what I need to actually get fixed. So experiment and try them out and see what works best for you. I wouldn't really go all the way to one way or the other unless, of course, you want your photos looking like that. I mean, maybe you do want your photos to look like that, I don't know. But personally, I don't think this is really for me. It looks a little unrealistic. It is very stylish, of course, if you really want the super blue and orange. But I think for the time being, I will stay with my subtle blue and orange with my photos. Well guys, that's it. That's the video. Those are my 3 Lightroom tips. I hope they were helpful for at least some of you. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.